Hi everyone, welcome to Live with BLAYNE J, your weekly connection to people, brands, and businesses. Thank you so much for joining. And as always, if you haven't already, keep your notifications locked to Real-ish Radio on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Be sure to download the app. We have so much content coming your way with my show, with Transparency Place, Sisters Talking Ish, Cigars with Friends, a bunch of content for you, podcast vlogs. So definitely keep your notifications locked and check us out. And as always, big shout out to Real-ish Radio creator and founder Rodney Hughes, who produces and brings you all of these shows and all the behind the scenes stuff that happens. Thank you so much, Rodney. Today we have Tiffanie Young Lofton. She is near and dear to me because she is one of my sorority members, which we're going to get into in a minute. But Tiffanie is also the senior VP of production for Rock Shrimp Productions. She also is the founder and creator of Young in the Arts. It's a training program that she put together for college students who are interested in entering the film industry but are not really sure how to do so. So Tiffanie is about to come on now and tell us all about it. Hi, Tiffanie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And as I mentioned, I always like to tell everyone how I know my guests. So Tiffanie and I have known each other for a really long time, for like more than 10 years. At one point, we were both members of the same sorority chapter. We were both members of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and we were both members of the Brooklyn chapter for a while. And Tiffanie and I have also worked on committees together, local committees. We've worked on regional committees where we've done like production and communications for about 5,000 women. So we have a really good rapport and extensive history together. So I thank you for coming on here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Now, Tiffanie is like a producer, production person extraordinaire. I can't even go into your background and what you do. So before we go into Young in the Arts, I want everybody to understand why you are such an expert on this topic and why you saw that there was a need for young college students to have a way to enter the film industry, because that's something that was really void, and you've kind of filled that space with this program. But let me go ahead and let you run down your resume.
Well, thank you for that introduction, and thank you for calling me an expert. I mean, I feel that I am, but it always feels good when someone else thinks I am too. So.
You know what you do. I've worked with you, so I know that you know your stuff.
Yes. So I am the senior vice president of production for Rock Shrimp Productions. And what I do is for TV, there's two sides of the business. There's the creative side where you're dealing with the content and what's happening in front of the camera. And then TV in itself is a business. The shows have to make money. The production company has to make money. You have to make sure you're doing things legally in order. Once the producers have an amazing idea, like I want to shoot this show, my job then starts with, well, how are we going to shoot this show? How are we going to break it down? How many days a week are we shooting? How much crew do we need? What camera are we shooting on? What is the plan to get this done? So that's what I do. I literally make other people's dreams and visions become a reality, make it tangible, along with my own dreams and visions too. But for the most part, I am doing it for the executive producer. So I am a producer as well, but I am a production executive where I am producing from the structural, logistical standpoint of making sure the creative visions are possible. I have been in the business for over 16 years. My first full-time job in TV was at Lifetime Television, so I started out on the network side, and then I went over to the freelance side and the production company side, where my first project was What Not to Wear for TLC. It was one of their #1 rated shows for several years, and I started out on that, doing field and studio and location-based shoot and coordinating. So I traveled a lot for that show. I worked my way up from being a production coordinator, then to a production manager, then a line producer. Then I was executive in charge of production for a long time until becoming senior vice president of production. I've been in that role for about 2 years now. So I definitely know a lot. I feel like what makes me knowledgeable and being able to help students navigate their path and their career is that my position and my team, we handle most of the hiring for everyone in TV. Like, producers don't actually hire, they do interview, they decide who they want their team to be, but they don't negotiate deals and actually employ people. So I'm involved with the hiring phase of every single department of TV. So it makes me very knowledgeable on what everyone needs to work on any aspect of TV.
And what route did you have to take to get into this? Because you kind of went over all the jobs and how you worked your way up into your career. But let's take it a step back, because your program is for college students, and we were once college students.
Yep.
So, you know, we go into college and like we have this idea of what we want to do. And so what route did you take? Did you go in knowing you wanted to get into production?
Yeah, excellent question. So fortunately, I went to Edward R. Murrow High School in Brooklyn, which is a communications based high school, and we had a full-on television production department. So I started there. My interest in television was really to be broadcast journalism. I thought I wanted to be in front of the camera. I thought I wanted to report the news. And as I started working in a high school program, learning all the behind the scenes, I realized that I preferred behind the scenes. I realized that I love the logistics. I'm one of these very interesting people who has a creative brain, but I also have a very money management brain. And it's like, I thought about going into just business and managing money and going like operations route, but being in an office 9 to 5 did not seem appealing to me. So this is the perfect hybrid. Like the creative side of my brain could not tolerate or accept like sitting and working 9 to 5 in the office all day long. So this is the best hybrid. It's like doing business for television. I'm in a creative environment. I'm sitting in production meetings and everything. So when I saw that in high school, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I then went to American University, which also is a great communication school in Washington, D.C. And I studied visual media in Spanish. I had like a hybrid major. It wasn't quite a double major, but it was like a hybrid. And visual media is the hands-on side of television. It's learning how to operate the camera, then how to write your scripts and how to go into the edit and put a story together from beginning to end. So I learned the whole hands-on and how to do video production and as it relates to film and or television, right? From there, I was just like, okay, not that I necessarily needed it for this business, because this business having 1 degree is enough. I didn't necessarily need 2 degrees, but then your own personal.
That was for you.
Then your own personal motivation comes in, competition with your family. My sister's a psychologist. She's a doctor.
I was gonna say with your sister.
You know, she has. Oh, yes. She has doctor in her title. My mom has 3 degrees. My cousin was raised like brothers and sister. He is a medical doctor. He's an MD. So I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get a 2nd degree just because I need to look
you
good
need
like the rest of my family.
Your name. Everybody else has all these letters and you needed it.
Exactly. So, and it turned out to be worth it. Like, I really feel like I was able to climb the ladder faster because of the knowledge that I got from my master's. It is a master's in production management, which is specifically about just the business of TV. A lot of times when I talk to attorneys, I deal with entertainment attorneys all the time. They're just like, did you go to law school? Like, did you start and not finish? Because you can speak this jargon like we do. Like, we don't have to break down these contracts for you like we do for someone else. And the secret behind it is I got a master's in production management where I did learn how to break down a contract like an attorney, although I didn't go to law school. It was just like a specialized section of the program where we learned the ins and outs of entertainment contracts. So it gave me another skill. I could read and slightly revise. I won't say I really could revise a contract, but I could propose revisions without having to go full on through an attorney.
So what you said, you just said a lot, right? But I want to kind of go back to something that you said, because when people think of film, they always think of being in front of the camera. When you think of television, people want to be actors and actresses, but there's a whole team behind these actors and actresses, right? There's wardrobe, there's lighting, there's costumes, there's all kind of stuff. So you took this like, I guess what people would say is like an alternative route, right? Because when I went to school, we had the same option. You could do broadcast journalism. And that's what everybody thinks they want to do, is they want to broadcast. And so for me, I was like, I don't want to go in front of the camera. I don't want to take a diction class and get rid of my Brooklyn accent. You know, I don't want to do that. And so I went into print, which is more behind the scenes. And that's kind of the route that you took. And it's such a needed route for women, it sounds like. And it's such a needed route, especially for minority women, because it sounds like it's a very heavily male dominated field. So the fact that you did that and you're now a boss, right? You really worked your way, whether it was through school, whether it was through personal experience, whether it was through jobs and internships. It sounds like from what you've said, you've really worked your way to learn all these back steps that it takes for production, so that you're like, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I can do that, and just moving up, and you have that drive and initiative. So I applaud you for that. And I think because you have that insight and all the numbers and all the letters and all the shapes behind your name, right? We have to include all that too. But I think that gives you such great insight, and it puts you at the forefront of now creating this program that you did, because you know what students go through very intimately. You know kind of the thought process behind it, and you know that it's more than just production, there's budgeting. It's about who you know. So now I'd like to go into the training program that you have, because given your background, given what you know, what you do, like you have created like the perfect platform for these kids.
Yeah, well, thank you. Really, there's the education that you learn in school, and then there is the step of how you apply it to the actual working world. And what I learned coming out of school is there's definitely a gap when it comes to entering the television industry world in between what you learn and how you actually perform in the business. And I learned a lot of things along the way. I was very fortunate to have mentors along the way that helped me learn things. But the further I got into the business, I was just like, these are some things I wish I would have known when I started, right? So what I started doing at work first is that we have an internship program. And I talked to our internship director, I was like, you know what? I would like to just talk to the kids at the end, like let them have their internship, learn all they want to have from the internship. But before they leave our office, I want to talk to them about what it's going to be like real life trying to get into this business upon graduating. So I would do one-on-one interviews with them. I would check their resume. I would go through with them how their resume is different for entertainment rather than other industries. I would give them real life tips as to what would make me pass over your resume versus what would make me consider it and hire you. And then we would get into like, I like to know, like, what is your overall vision? Where are you going? Because this entertainment industry is so big, it's so vast. There's hundreds of positions. It is not just the ones that are common out there and people know about. There's so many more behind the scenes. And I believe in being very purposeful and strategic in your career and you guiding it rather than it pulling you along, right? So I wanted to know, where are you going? What is your ultimate vision? So I could help you figure out what path. There's pathways in this business where if you get on that track, it is hard to redirect and go somewhere else. You'll spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get to where you want to be. And I just wanted to help them avoid that. So I have these conversations with them. I will talk to them about money, because managing your finances as a freelancer is way different from managing your finances when you are salaried and you have a continuous check coming in that you can rely on. And what happened is, like, a lot of students asked me, can I stay in touch with you after the program's over? And I would. And a number of them were starting to reach me afterwards and like, you know, when I was sitting there and talking to you, it all sounded great. I was like, oh, I'm going to use this information. But then when I actually tried to get my first job, it was like light bulb was going on. Oh, this is what Tiffanie said. This is what I should do in this situation. And thankfully, they were writing back to me and telling me how helpful it was. And some of the students that actually really stuck with me and stayed in contact, I have one student who was went from being our intern to a producer in less than 5 years, which is a very fast track. And it's because she stayed in contact with me. With every move she made, she was like, you know what, let me check in with Tiffanie and see what she thinks. And so I love mentoring. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I love mentoring. I love helping people find their way. And so what grew out of it is that I was helping a lot of people one-on-one. But the truth is I'm busy and I don't have a lot of time to keep up with everyone one-on-one. So I was just like, how can I give this one-on-one time attention that I was doing with the program with the students we call it exit interviews. And how can I like combine this so that I can help more people at the same time, but seriously be aware of my own self-care
Mm-hmm.
and manage my time. And then I was just like, let me do it in a group setting, especially now everything is virtual. I can help the kids at their various schools. Let me do a program. So now I have this program, Young in the Arts. I'm helping 10 students at the same time, 2 sessions a month. So I'm doing what I love. I've combined it all together and condensed my time towards it, but helping more people at the same time. So that's how Young in the Arts was born.
And that's it. It was just that. I just did all that and it came together. But that's amazing because like there's something that you're saying that's resonating with these kids, right? And I'm calling them kids, but they're really young men and women. There's some kind of message that you are saying that they're like, I would have never known this had Tiffanie not said this. Maybe Tiffanie said 5 words and I remembered 2. So when I went on, I remembered those 2 words and it became like the most valuable information that I've found. So that's awesome that you found a way to connect with them and to be real, because a lot of people are not transparent when it comes to especially helping others.
Yeah.
They're just not really forthcoming with information. So to get into this program, this very exclusive 10-person led by an expert program, what does one have to do?
So I released an application process in December and I closed it in January right before we started. It honestly wasn't that intense of a process for the first cohort. I just kind of wanted to keep it a little bit broad, see who was out there, see who would be interested in doing it. And then I had a general idea of the program, but I wanted to be able to then fine tune it a little bit based on the students who were going to be in the program and what their interests were. So it was an application. I posted it on my social media and LinkedIn, and I got a good amount of students. I went through looking at what they were interested in. I wanted to pick those that I knew I could definitely help, but I also wanted a little bit of a challenge too. So I picked some theater students because I don't personally do theater. There is an overlap. I know people in TV who started out in theater. So I also want to push myself and see what is the broad array of people that I can help. So I did incorporate some students that I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do with them, but I'm like, I'm going to find a way to help them.
That's okay.
And so, yeah. And they had to submit their resume. So that was it. I mean, it's probably going to be, as the program grows and picks up, I'm probably going to have to fine tune and make it a little bit more of a more robust application process. But in the beginning, I just wanted to see who was out there who would want to receive this information from me.
And so with these webinars that you do, what exactly are they getting? Are they getting hands-on training? Are there panel discussions? Is it just you kind of teaching them? Or are you bringing in, because if you have a theater person and that's not your background, but you have the resources to bring someone in, how exactly are the webinars working? Yeah,
so the program is split into 4 topics. So it's a 4-month program, 2 sessions a month, so a total of 8 sessions. And each month has a theme. January was career building. February was financial planning. March was resume building and networking. And this month is PA training, entry-level training. So what would be your first job coming out of college, and how do you get prepared for it? So primarily how it is, the first session, I'm teaching them something. From that session, they get like a little homework assignment for me to work on this, like your own personal development. And the second session for the month, we're coming back with a guest speaker that relates to the topic for the month. And then they also tell me on about their homework assignment and what they did for themselves and figured out for themselves. And I answer questions, I give them tips along the way. So they receive I've done PowerPoint presentations. They receive worksheets. So for example, January is career planning. And again, like, I believe in being strategic. I tell them, know your exit before you enter. So I mean, I want you to know, what does retirement look for you? What does success mean for you? What is your life going to look like when you're like, you know what? I've done all I've had to do in this business. I am satisfied. I have left my mark. I can now bow out gracefully. What does that look like? Because once you set that vision, I want you to go back and set 5 steps to get to that vision. I want you to commit to it now, because this business is so competitive and you're going to get rejection along the way. I want you to know that you are not done until you reach your exit that you've decided. No one tells you when you leave. You decide when you leave. So they start by planning their exit. And they're now committing to staying on this path until they reach the exit that they've chose for themselves. So that was January. that was January.
that was a lot in January. And I want to repeat what you said. Know your exit before you enter.
Yep.
That is a word. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, so that was just January. I'd be like, wow, so what do we have for the next week? I'd be like, how can you top January?
That was January. So February was financial planning. And I have a whole workshop that I do just on how you manage your budget as a freelancer. And I went through that with them. I have a workshop that I share with my clients, but I made it available to them because I also consult. But I made it available to them free of charge. The program is free. And I walked through with them like, okay, I know you don't have these expenses right now because you're in college, but I want you to start thinking about what expenses are you going to have when you graduate? Some of them are in areas already where TV and film are booming, so they wouldn't have to move. But if you are in middle America right now, you're going to have to move to either coast to get a job in film and TV. So start planning for that. Are you going to be living with a roommate? You're trying to live on your own? My whole thing is I try to have them identify what are your necessary expenses to survive? And then what are the things that's luxury? What are the perks, right? I want you first to survive, then I want you to thrive. And I need you to know the difference, because in this business where sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not, you're going to have to accept that sometimes you're going to survive and sometimes you're going to thrive. That is it. That is it. You have to be flexible. So I teach them the process of having an adjustable budget where this is what I spend when I'm working. This is what I spend when I'm not working. I also tell them off the bat, like, do not compare yourself to those who are salaried. You're going to have friends who are in salary positions and they're making commitments with their money that you can't make just yet because they know that they have endless paychecks coming in. They know that once they get hired, unless they decide to go somewhere else or they get fired, they're getting paid. Freelance, you're coming in on contracts. You might have a 6-week contract. You might have a 2-week contract, right? And then after that, you got to go find your next job. So I tell them, do not come into this business expecting to work 52 weeks of the year. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to do it. I don't care how good you are. It's just the nature of the business. So I want you to work with that. I want you to use that to your advantage. If you already know you're not going to get paid for the full year, let's plan to be unemployed. Let's plan to be unemployed and use it to your advantage. I also give them some tips on negotiating, because a lot of the things you have to do in this business is negotiate your own rate. There are industry standard rates, but if you're good, you can ask for more. I want you to get the most you can make. So I started giving them tips on how to do that. So that was February.
Good Lord. Oh my gosh. Like that's, I mean, that's the information and what you just said so far is you are giving them such great information because it's life skills and it's also career skills. And when you put and you're being real with them because, they may not have a realistic look into what is film. Their friend may be on a 52-week schedule, like you said, and they're going to get paid for 52 weeks. They may get a contract for like a 2-day shoot. And so now what? You've moved to California, you've moved to New York, which are expensive cities, and you're asked out after those 2 weeks because you didn't think to budget. You didn't think whose couch you're going to be sleeping on. You just didn't think of anything. So what you're telling them is something that I don't think they are hearing. That's not something that they're getting from anywhere else, right? Because most producers, most people, they're like, oh, so you're gonna do this job? Okay, so come on, we're leaving like tomorrow. You're gonna be here for 2 weeks. You have some place to sleep or you don't? Well, I don't know what to tell you, because they're low on the totem pole. There's a whole totem pole when it comes to television. You're not the star actor.
Exactly.
You are a very low level key player in this, and you're gonna get treated as one. And so it's almost like it's been glamorized to an extent, and you're like, there's some glamorous parts, but there's a lot of real parts of it too, and you're coming in on these parts, and we're trying to get you up here. So I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I'm like, I want to go on a session. I don't want to go into film. I just want to learn stuff. Like
I mean, honestly, my budgeting tips can work for anyone. I'm staff now, and I still use my system for freelancing because love how it prepares me for anything to happen. So yeah.
No, that is, you have to be prepared for anything to happen. So what have you learned from doing this? Because I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm already learning stuff, but it's like you're in this position to be the teacher and the mentor, and the roles used to be reversed because maybe nobody was saying this to you and maybe nobody was showing you the ropes and you had to learn on your own. What's the biggest thing that you've learned from these participants? Because it's also a new age, right? There's so much stuff out that we just didn't have in college. That's out now, right? That changes the game. So I can only imagine what you're hearing.
It is very true. I'm learning a lot from them too, because I tell them, I'm like, I'm a dinosaur compared to y'all, because I was like, I didn't even have LinkedIn when I came out of school. I was seriously like, LinkedIn, what? It literally did not exist. Facebook was just becoming big when I came out of school. So like the way
you had to be in college to have Facebook when it first came out, because I remember my younger brother got it and you had to be in college. It wasn't even open to the public.
Exactly. I mean, I also tell them, like, so another component to it, like in the month that we were doing career planning, I also gave them a plan for entrepreneurship and having your own business. I feel like if you're in a creative world, if you are creative, you have a creative mind, you need to be thinking about what's your own business also, because your ideas they're valuable to you. And I mean, this is a whole other session, but the more you start selling your stuff to other people, the more you start selling your stuff to people, the more you sell away your rights, right? So I want you to figure out how to maintain the rights to your stuff and have your own business. And I was telling them, like, you have more opportunities to do that than I did, because you have YouTube now. You have YouTube, you have Instagram, you could do your own branding, you can get your own content out there. For me, I made a short film as part of my master's program. That was like our thesis to graduate. And once I had this whole short film, I didn't know what to do with it. It was like, I entered it in festivals, but at the time, that's all there was festivals. So if I didn't get accepted by a festival, that means that no one saw my short film. I did a screening on my own that I invited some people to, but literally beyond the festivals, I didn't get into any of them. I guess it wasn't the best, but it was my work. I loved it.
You submitted it. It's a big thing to submit your work, right? That's a really big deal.
Yeah, but in today's age, though, if you don't get into a film festival, okay, launch your YouTube channel, put it on there. Look at what Issa Rae did with her Awkward Black Girl on YouTube. I mean, like, literally, there's so many resources. I feel like there's no excuse not to be creative and get your content out there somehow. So we talked about that too. So I learned from them what apps they were using, how they try to get their stuff out there. They impressed me. Honestly, they're college students, but two of them have their own podcast. One of them has her own blog with articles. She really wants to get in a docuseries, so she reviews like The Housewives and other shows, and she puts up her reviews on her blog. So I mean, like, so I'm gaining from them, I'm learning from them, and I'm just really proud of them, because they're really trying to do their thing already, and they haven't even graduated yet.
That's amazing. And you're absolutely right. Like, it's so different because you can sell yourself, right? So it's like, okay, I submitted work and I didn't get into this film festival. Let me make my own YouTube video and let me tell every single person I know to watch and follow and like and share. And then you have a hit on your hands. One of my former guests who's on here, Christine Germain, like, she self-promotes her book. She's self-published, she's self-promoted. And so many of us wait to get a book deal. We wait for the right opportunity to happen. And she just was like, I'm going to promote this and I'm going to have people buy it. And then people in turn will hopefully promote it as well. And it's just like word of mouth. Word of mouth is sometimes very underestimated. And it's still a big deal. So I learned a lot just from what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know, you want me to tell you March was our resume building and networking session, and that the first session I had a company called Hollywood Resumes partner with me and come on and present to them about doing entertainment resumes. And then I connected them, each of them, I talked with them about specifically where they were heading, and I connected each of them with a contact that I have. So now I introduced them to my contacts, which was so nerve-wracking for me. I have to be honest. I told them, I was like, y'all don't make me look bad.
I mean, like, yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, don't embarrass me, okay? Like, don't embarrass me. There will be repercussions.
Like, do not make me look bad.
Yeah.
So, but they did very well. But they all had 30-minute Zooms with someone in the industry. So they're walking away with a real contact in the business already. They learn tips on how to network in, like how much following up is too much following up. Like, don't nag the person. Don't have them put you on their ignore list. You know, like there are ways to do this. So they learned all those tips. And then this month is the entry-level training. So last week we had a session where 2 people who currently work for me now came on, and we told them everything about what it means to be a production assistant. That's like the very entry level of how you get into TV and film. And my whole goal for that, as I said to them, I was like, I believe in getting promoted every 2 years, at least every 2 years. That should be your rotation. So I want you to go in there ahead of the game already knowing what works and doesn't work. So maybe you could do it in less than 2 years. Maybe you can get to your next step, in less than 2 years. That was their goal. Next week is our last session. I've planned a small graduation for them. I'm giving them completion certificates. So we'll see. And our final guest speaker will be next week as well.
That is awesome. I thought you were going to be like, we're going to have a virtual party. And I hope you do more than the certificates. I'd be like, all right, so everybody, bring your own food, bring your own scripts, bring your own stuff, and we're going to have a Zoom party.
Yeah.
And then when will the next session be? So that one's ending. When's the next one?
So the fall. So it'll be in the fall. I thought about doing a summer session, but I actually realized that I need some time to revamp a little bit the program. I've been gaining their feedback about what worked and what didn't work, and I want to just revamp it a little bit before I open up the application process again. So I will be opening it up during the summer, but the session will begin in the fall.
And so for anyone that's watching and is interested or knows somebody that's interested and wants to apply for the fall, can you let us know where to find this information?
Sure. On my website, www.tiffaniyounglofton.com. Tiffanie, Tiffanie, TiffaniYoungLofton.com. You can find me there. You can follow me on Instagram. I will at the same thing at Tiffanie Young Lofton, and I will announce there and on LinkedIn. I'll announce when the application is open.
And you had 10 this time. Are you open to taking more, or was like 10 the cap?
I am considering taking up to 20 this time.
Wow.
I am. I don't know yet how. That's partly why I want to take the summer to revamp and see if I can handle it. The most time consuming part was scheduling those Zooms and connecting them, because I didn't just, this person in the business, you could talk to them. No, I really did go as far, like I have one student who she wants to be a screenwriter, but she also wants to write novels. So I connected her with a producer who specifically does book adaptations. So she reads novels, buys the rights to novels, and then makes them movies. So I'm like, okay, so that is the perfect person that can combine your two passions. So I mean, when I say I took the time to make sure that they actually were the right connection, I did, and it was so time consuming. So that would be my only reason not to go up to 20 students.
That's amazing. And connections are so crucial, right? Because you want them to make those connections now coming in. So as they build their career, like you said, every 2 years, they're just moving up in the ladder. And you're equipping them with these skills so that they're like, all right, let's do this. 2 years is up. I've learned what I can. Let's move on. I'm going to call my mentor. For anybody that may be interested in being a mentor, or even being like a guest who's also in the industry, should they be contacting you as well? Or are you kind of hand selecting who you want to?
Oh, no. I'm open to connection. Honestly, this business is all about who you know. It is all about making connections. I do not believe in burning bridges. I love to force the relationships. So yeah, if you are in the business, you want to reach out to me to be a part of this program, please. I will take whatever help I get. I want them to have a variety of guest speakers, or if you're not able to be a guest speaker, but you want to be part of the month where they have Zooms, please just let me know. Definitely.
That is great. And Tiffany's information is on the screen now. And while you have her with this exclusive information, if you have any questions, if you're on Facebook and YouTube, be sure to put them in the chat in the comments so that Tiffany can answer it. If not, you can hit her up on Instagram and she will get back to you, and on her website for more information about her training program, Young in the Arts, for college students. And I just want to say, like, I know about the program, you and I have spoken about it, but like you said, even more information here now than you did before. Like, you saved all this. Like, you were like, yeah, so it's this thing and it's okay. But what you're doing and what you're giving them is like, it's what we want. It's like what we wish people would have done. I've had good internships, and it was because I wasn't treated like an intern. I was treated like, so if this is the career that you want, this is what you have to do. And one of the best internships I had was for People Magazine's New York Bureau. And I was totally ready for the summer to just be getting people coffee, right? Because I'm thinking, like, I'm in college, that's all that they're gonna have me do. But they had me front and center at so many events, and I got so many bylines and so many clips for people that don't know. Byline is just when you see your name printed in the story saying that you wrote the story. And I was like amazed, because I was totally prepared to just like be in the corner and be ignored. And I was fortunate to have people that were like, nope, we're about to utilize every single one of you. Go out there and stand outside of Julia Roberts' apartment and wait until she comes out. And when she comes out, you tell her, like, that was seriously like, you know, what they had, and going to events and meeting people and stuff. And so that made me realize that I don't want to be a reporter.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm tired of this.
That's important too. Realizing that you don't want to do something you thought you wanted to do is very important. That's not a failure. That's a plus. Why, you know, that is a huge thing to know. Yes.
And you don't know until you get the experience. There were aspects that were really great, right? Like going to parties, going to movie premieres, talking to people. But then the next internship I got after that, I was a copy editor. And I was like, this is great. You know, behind the scenes, I'm getting the reporter stories, I'm editing them. I feel like I'm right there with them because I'm reading all this information, but I knew that I didn't want to be front and center, and I didn't want to be like, have that responsibility of like crafting this person's story. I'd rather craft it from behind the scenes to edit it and write your headline and pick your picture and figure out the layout, the way that it should look, and do that kind of stuff. So I made sure that the next internship was that. So, but you don't really know unless you get the hands-on experience in your field.
Very true. Yep. The hands-on experience, or talk to someone who's done it. One of the students after the Zoom, that was his feedback. He was just like, it was amazing. He was like, but amazing in a way that I didn't expect it. He was just like, I thought I want to do that. I don't want to do that. Now I need to brainstorm exactly what it is that I do want to do. So he was very appreciative to have heard firsthand what it was like to do the job. And he was just like, it's not that I don't want to do that. I realized that I'm thinking, you know, just a different direction kind of thing. So he was very happy about that. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say also, outside of college, or when you're in college, I would also encourage anybody who's watching to have a hobby outside of college. Like, have a hobby outside of your schoolwork. Get these internships, go into these programs, like get some type of job, like join an organization, watch a bunch of webinars, because there's so much information out there now. Tiffany and I, we both have our careers, but like I said, we have our second life, which is our sorority life, and we've worked together because we always wind up on committees with that deal with communication. And that's something that you and I on many occasions have worked on. And so that's something outside of our jobs, because that's a whole nother realm of things. And we had to travel out of state to make these communications happen, and go to planning meetings out of state. And then like put a production together for, you know, for 5,000 women. Sometimes it's for 100-something women for chapter purposes. So I would encourage everybody to like join an organization, do something outside of college that speaks to you. So I want to thank you so much, Tiffany. This was really great. I feel like you need to come back on after your last session for your program and tell us what that was, because January through March was so dynamic. I'm like, so what are you gonna do for April? Are we closing out April?
I know. It has been, I cannot believe we have one session left. I cannot believe, it's like, I went through moments where I was like, oh, this feels like 8 sessions. But then I'm like, I got to know the students, like I'm gonna miss them. But I told them, I was like, listen, seriously, you guys are stuck with me for life. You are my first cohort. I thank you for joining the program, but I also just thank you for trusting me to take you on this journey, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna make sure you guys are set. You know, that's what it is in this business. Like, you have to know the right people. I'm like, you're stuck. I'm going to be telling people about you. I'm going to be forwarding your resume. I'm going to be checking in with you. Like, hey, what decisions are you? Are those the right decisions? I'm going to be checking in with you. That's what I do with the people that I mentor. Seriously, I do not leave them hanging. So I'm just excited. I'm just so happy for this first cohort that trusted me. They joined a program that had never been done before, and they didn't know what was going to happen. So I'm very thankful.
Amazing hands. They were in excellent, amazing, capable hands. So for anybody that is interested and wants to learn more, Tiffany's information is on the screen. You can reach her on her website. You can reach her on Instagram. And Tiffany, before we go, because if not, we're going to be in here for like another hour. If you have any thank yous or shout outs in it or anything that you want to recognize, definitely take the time to do so now.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Definitely. I really appreciate all that you do. I am very proud of you and impressed by you creating this program as well. So you are a source of motivation for me to keep doing my own thing too. And I guess I should say thank you to my family and my friends, right? The typical award show thank you. But no, I do think if any of my special guests who have been on my program are watching, I really do sincerely thank you for all your help. And please follow me on Instagram. There will be more to come. I am working on a high school version of the program, so there is more. I'm also working on a postgraduate for those who've graduated already but still need some help navigating their career. So there's more to come from Young in the Arts, so stay tuned.
She is expanding. You went from, I don't know if I want 20 people in the next program to like, so we're about to do one for high school, college, graduates, senior citizens, everybody. Like, we're expanding all over the place. I don't know how you went from that, but that's great though, because you have to be forward thinking.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Tiffany, for being here and for always supporting the shows from the first couple shows when I was on Instagram. You were always on there supporting and watching, and I appreciate you. I thank you. You're always a pleasure to work with, which is why we wind up on these committees together, because I'm like, if Tiffany's doing it, I know I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna make this work, right? And we work really well with that. So I want to really thank you for your support and for being here. And as always, thank you to the people, brands, and businesses that always support the show. Thank you to the Realish Radio family. You can see, like I said, more content, podcasts, everything at Realish Radio. And I want to give a really big shout out to Diana Hilaire. She is the founder of When She Comes Home. She's a past guest on the show. She got a really big award from American Express. They sent her a beautiful gift that she posted. They're supporting 100 women. She's one of the 100 women that they supported. Big shout out to you, Diana, because you are on my mind, and I am going to be calling you shortly. So I'm publicly shouting you out right now. And thank you to everybody else. I appreciate you for supporting and watching, and I will see you next week. And Tiffany, just stay on for like 2 seconds. We do like a quick talk back afterwards. Okay. Everybody else, we will see you later.